Hi, my name's Alex,
Hi, my name's Rodney.
and it's great to see you for this episode of Leadership Lean In.
Yeah, it's great to be here. We're on Zoom tonight, which is fantastic, something different.
Fantastic. And we've got a really special episode for you this evening, welcoming a dear friend of ours, Fusi Mokoena.
Yep, and he'll be appearing within 2 minutes, so he'll be there any moment.
And when was the first time you met Fusi, Rod?
Oh gosh, I can't remember now. It was probably around about 2009 or 10, sometime. I've known him for about 10 years, roughly, I think.
Okay, same. Yeah, I think I met him when I went to South Africa in a small village called Clarence, which is like in the middle of South Africa, roughly, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right.
He had no hair, completely shaved head
It
when I
was,
met
yeah.
him. So he
Yeah,
might appear differently in a moment.
he may. Yeah, that's would have been when I met him. But getting to know him over a few years, he then moved to Worthing and was part of when we were
Mm,
Jubilee Church. Previously, he was part of our church for nearly 3 years, which was
mm.
great to have him around. That's when we got to know him and we began to make friends with him and begin to recognise his apostolic gift as well, which has really emerged in the last few years.
Yeah. So what if I was going to say to you though, Rod, what does it mean to have an apostolic gift? What would you say? Because obviously we're starting to relate with Fusi in that particular way. So what does that mean for us to receive him as a gift, an apostolic gift?
Well, I feel it's somebody who has a kind of like a fatherly heart towards the church, somebody
Mm,
who wants to see our success, but we kind of link with him in partnership, in friendship, and we're kind of caught up in mission together. And he's always helping us to look beyond where we're at and to look to the bigger kingdom
mm,
and catch us up in the wider mission across the world in planting churches, reaching nations, and obviously we just honour his gifting and
mm.
all that he represents. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And here's the man.
here he is.
And
Hello.
look, he's
Hi.
got hair.
Yeah.
I've always had hair.
We were saying how when we first met you, you had less hair.
You had less hair.
Uh,
When I first met you, you had less hair.
okay. I actually saw a picture of, I think was the first time I actually met Alex in Worthing, and we were playing football, and I had no hair, and he was covered in paint because he'd just been painting someone's house and stuff, and we were playing football. It was Finley's birthday. I sent him the picture, but I tried to cut it in such a way that I did not appear in the picture. And yeah, it's just amazing, just looking back and seeing that picture and seeing how you've grown a beard now. So the world has changed a lot.
So in case you don't know, Finley was like a 10-year-old boy. Is that right? Or something like that? So we were at a 10-year-old boy's birthday party. And I don't know if you remember, Fusi, but I was in a team, and we went down. We were going, like, we were 4-2 down or something. And I was 20 or something. And these are all 10-year-old kids. And I
Yeah.
got really annoyed because, oh no, I'm misremembering. We were 4-2. We were winning 4-2.
Okay.
And then the dad, this guy called Colin, who I don't speak to anymore because of this, he said, last goal wins, and they
Uh-huh.
scored and we lost. And I was
Yeah.
furious that
I remember that.
yeah, I was so annoyed.
Golden goal. How about that?
I know.
Still bitter about it. So
I know. I can tell.
Oh, dear.
it's really great to have you here, Fusi.
Yeah. How are you? Are you well?
Yeah, I'm good. It's almost 11 o'clock at night here, and it's getting late, and I'm sure it's quite early for you guys over there because it's probably just past 8 o'clock, or what time is it?
Before, yeah.
Yeah. I'm doing well. And Emily is doing well as well. We both are working from home at the moment, and it's not been an easy thing because we're both very busy at home. And we have obviously Dylan, who's like 19 months old, who is kind of running around, and he kind of wants our attention. And it's just so hard to kind of give him all the attention whilst at the same time talking over the phone and Zoom and all that. But apart from that, we are trying to cope and kind of find our new normal. And it's kind of, we're getting there.
Because is it right? Am I understanding it right that the lockdown that you guys have got is quite a bit stricter than ours. So we were allowed out for exercise and shopping, and I think that's basically it. But we've got a bit more freedom like that. But are you guys not quite the same?
Yeah, it's different here. Although it has changed a little bit, they have relaxed the lockdown a little bit just because it's Ramadan, just to allow families to travel from one household or house to another. But it's very hot, so it's almost 40 degrees, so nobody wants to go out. But even that is still not a full kind of relaxing of the lockdown. What's happening now is different to like last week, because last week you couldn't go anywhere without a permit, so you had to apply for a permit. At the moment, you are given certain hours to go out and do stuff, but you still can't kind of do the normal stuff because most shops are shut at the moment. There's only a few supermarkets, so there's only so much you can do. Right. Yeah. So it's quite hard in that sense, because number one, you have some kind of freedom, but you don't know what to do with that freedom, and it's very limited freedom, but it is some freedom, and you can't go and do shopping and go to a shopping mall because most of the places are shut. Yeah, but the lockdown here is different to how it is in the UK. You can't just go for a run or exercise and do all of that. So you have to get a permit most of the time to do stuff.
So how is the church managing then? The church that you lead, and there are other churches in Dubai as well. How are they managing in this lockdown? What's it like?
It's been hard for the church, and I think different countries are experiencing different issues and different problems. So for us in Dubai, or here where we are, it's hard for the church in a sense that most of the churches are meeting in hotels, or used to meet in hotels. Most of the hotels are shut, and most of them, a lot of them are out of business because our city relies on tourism. It thrives with people coming from different nations, very transient, and so we survive because we have the nations and people coming in from other nations. So all of those hotels now are have shut down because there's no one coming in, because obviously our borders are shut at the moment, and we don't know if some of them would still survive after the pandemic, because firstly, we don't know when we're gonna go back and resume everything as normal, and I can imagine some of them would have already lost a lot of business and they probably won't recover. So I think we had a problem of not being able to meet, and it made sense that we shouldn't meet, because obviously we're trying to make sure that we isolate and self-isolate. But when we go back, unlike maybe you guys where you are, you'll go back to your building or to a place where you've always met. Whereas for us, it's again a new search for a place to meet, and it's going to be a difficult thing for us.
And just just to explain for us as well how all of that kind of stuff has affected your ability to raise money and just to function as a church financially, because it's just helpful for people to understand that.
Most of what we do flies completely under the radar because of just the nature of the church and the situation in our country. So we can't just have the sort of system like you do in the UK. So because of that, we have to manage everything differently. So things like bank accounts or online giving, or that sort of system doesn't work here. We don't function in that way. So when you shut the church because you can't meet, it means you close the bank account, if you like, because everyone is kind of giving on a Friday morning. So that is a big thing, and also a lot of things are monitored here. So you just gotta be very careful what you do, how you go about it. I think it's still a work in progress, because we don't know, maybe in the future the church might be allowed to do quite a number of things that we currently can't do. But because we are where we are right now, it means we do have all these limitations of what we can do. So to have a season like this just means most things stop. And that includes the support and the giving and meeting together. And so we're trying our best at the moment to kind of obviously do church. Even if you do that, you just have to be careful what you say, even on video, because you are monitored most of the time.
Wow. So, as you know, we've set up a fund where we've been giving into that fund in the last few weeks, because we were aware of some of the problems you've had. And so, Alex, do you want to tell us where we're at with that?
Yeah. So we set up that fund particularly for you guys, but also maybe for some other situations as well as we go. And so we decided to have what the money that people have given, and we're going to give you £4,000 just to.
Oh wow!
We just really want to say that we're standing with you, and we love you, and we love what you guys are doing. And I guess particularly not only because we feel like a sense of affection for you and your family, and for and the church as well, but we just really feel like this is at the beginning of the life of this new church. We want to establish our relationship and our partnership with you, and we know that you're going to really serve us so well in the coming months and years, and we just want to say how much we appreciate that and appreciate you. And so I hope that's a blessing to you. I hope that can help you.
It's and more than a blessing. I don't know what to say. I'm really humbled by the generosity of Redeemer. I mean, it's just amazing. That's incredible. I just want to say thanks to everyone for their contribution, their participation, their owning of us as well, and just how you guys have rallied around us. I mean, it really feels special. And I will be telling Emily, and I'll be telling Joel and Hannah and the news. It just sounds really exciting. And thank you so much. And we chatted to Rodney a couple of weeks ago, and we were chatting about our situation and stuff. And he actually was saying, we are in this together. And it was just so humbling. When I went and talked to Emily about it, it just felt like we are, it's just made that statement of, the statement about being a family. It just became so real to us, because we're not normally in that situation. Yeah, you're normally on a giving end, not on a receiving end. And in the nations, particularly in third world countries where we're serving, but to be on the receiving end and to just hear of people whose hearts are connected with you, and they love you and they care for you, and they're able to step in and help. I think it's just so humbling. I really don't know what to say, except for I'm just so thankful. I really am. And thank you. And do thank the church, by the way, on our behalf. We really appreciate it.
You thank
They've just heard you. You just.
All right. Okay.
This is what this is.
Everyone.
Remember, this isn't just like a private chat. We are recording.
The church is watching right now.
So if you're about to make any big reveals about anyone's hair, like mine or yours or Rodney's, just don't do that, because we're not.
I've got my comb just in case.
I'm glad you warned me.
But seriously, for those of you watching this, we're just really grateful as well, the way that you've responded. And if you'd still like a chance to give, we're also going to use that fund maybe to support some other situations in the nations or even in our own community. So you can go to redeemer.co.uk/give and click the relief fund in the drop down menu. And we'd really love you to consider giving to that. But thank you so much. And obviously Fusi's grateful, as you just heard, for what we've been able to help them with.
Yeah, thank you.
For us, it's a privilege as well to partner with the nations. It's part of our worship to God, as we worship God and we worship the world. Sorry, we won't worship the world. Worship the God who created the world. And I don't know. You know what I mean? If I was preaching on a Sunday from a pulpit, there'd be all sorts of funny comments coming out, which would be correct. So you're used to me.
That's it.
But it's part of our worship. So it's our privilege and our honour to serve you and to give. And and as a church, we've been on the receiving end of blessing financially at other times. So it's all, like I say, it's all part of being a family, and your family, Fusi, and City Village family, and we're partnering together to reach the nations of the world with the gospel. So this is what it means. Sometimes it's money, isn't it? So
yeah. And I guess on that subject, so Fusi, we've been tracking through a reading plan together under the theme of the pioneers in the book of Acts, and today's reading was all about Philip and the Ethiopian eunuch, and just how that's the kind of moment where Jesus' statement that the gospel is going to go to Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, and the ends of the earth. That's the kind of first taste of the ends of the earth that you get in Acts. And so it'd be really helpful to hear what's going on in some of the churches that we're working with, that you're working with, and that we're starting to partner with you. Particularly, I guess, in this season of the coronavirus and any implications that's having, but just more generally, if there's anything for people to be praying for, or just things that are helpful for people to know, that'd just be great, just so that we kind of really feel like we're owning the things that you're living with.
Yeah, thanks for that. I've spent quite a lot of hours on Zoom just connecting with different leaders from different parts of the world, and I have to say, this time has created some opportunities as well. So we've had a few conferences like this, where it's like 20 or 30 people on the screen, and we just teaching the word of God. We're just encouraging, equipping. It's been such a great tool, the Zoom app that we've been using. So places like, for instance, Liberia, which is a third world country, they had in the 90s, they went through the civil war, and just recently Ebola, and now the COVID-19, and you're thinking, is this country ever going to recover? But the church has been outstanding. They've been absolutely amazing. And the churches that we are part of, or that are with us and are linked with us there, have been really amazing, to a point that they actually even encouraging us on a weekly basis. They say, hey guys, we are praying for you. So on Wednesday, I'm going to set up a meeting where we'll be doing a prayer meeting with some of those leaders. And their faith is just gone to another level in the midst of all that's happening. So that's been really encouraging for me. You're thinking, these guys should be feeling sorry for themselves, because they had all these things that I've just mentioned, coronavirus, Ebola, civil war. They should be like, poor me, come and feel sorry for me. But they're not like that. They are really wanting to plant churches, to advance. But obviously, with extra care and not doing things without proper precaution, they want to plant into other countries as well and advance. So so you have real dire situation and faith arising from that, which has been absolutely incredible. And I think we can learn a lot from some of those nations in just how they cope with these things. And they've not ignored the situation that we are facing right now. But in the midst of all that, God has seems to have been quite amazing in that situation. In China, they've been in this situation for quite some time now. So when I talked to the guys in China, they were actually equipping me and training me to know how to handle this situation. That's why we need one another in the nations. You realize that. You realize more and more, wow, I'm just having this coaching session now. This is how we've handled it. So obviously in China, they have this WeChat Pay. So that is so easy for them to do offering, because while they're listening to the preach, just send money through WeChat Pay. So they don't have our problems. And I was thinking, wow, this is great. And their faith is just so amazing. And they're saying, oh, we've been here for quite some time now. These are some of the things you can do. And the churches there are still in kind of lockdown kind of mode, because they haven't gone back to meeting as before. But pastors in Pakistan as well, I was talking to the leaders there, and you can see that they are seeing this time as an opportunity for the gospel as well. So the number of people who are looking for answers and for hope in these nations is just incredible. So as much as some of the churches, and most of the churches in the third world countries or developing countries are struggling, they also see this moment and this time as an opportunity. And I think we can learn from that and not just hold the sort of, oh, look at what's happening in the world kind of approach, but to also to say, but what is God doing in this season right now? And I'm learning from that. So I'm talking to leaders in India, in Bhutan, just to say the church in Bhutan, their testimony is just so amazing. This is what they said. They said to me, they said, what we wanted to do is we wanted to use this moment to impact our nation and to also impact our government. So what the churches did was they took up an offering of about 700,000 in their currency, and they put it together and they gave it to the government. So the church gave 700,000 to the government. They say, this is towards the COVID-19. Do what you want to do with that money. And I was like, you did what? And because of that, the government is just so favorable, and towards the church, they're just opening up, and they see the church as the answer, part of the answer to what's going on there. So I could go on and tell you some of what's going on around the world, but God seems to be working in the most amazing way. And I think sharing stories of what's going on around the world stirs our faith, regardless of where we are, because I think the virus has just kind of highlighted that we have a similar enemy or the same enemy that we are dealing with, and we can learn from one another regardless of where you come from, whether you're from the third world or first world. That's why worldwide mission is so important, and it's been good.
Brilliant. That's so exciting. It's so good to hear how, because we only ever hear bad news stories, and when on our news, we often, if you see other nations, it's like how bad it is there, how they're struggling. So to hear some good news like Bhutan and what they're doing there in the churches, that's just amazing. So thank you for sharing that. That's brilliant. And Fusi, if there was one thing that you could say to Redeemer right now, what would it be? What would your message be to us to encourage us?
Yeah, I've been watching messages. I've been watching some of the stuff that you guys are doing. I've been celebrating in the background, all that you've been doing, even the launch of Redeemer. I was so overjoyed. I think that afternoon or evening, Alex and I chatted a little bit. I said, how did it go? How did you feel, etc. So I've been watching everything very closely, and it's just been so great, to be honest with you, that a few months ago, I was in the UK. We were just talking about the launch. Is this going to happen? When is it going to happen? And sometimes the sovereignty of God is so amazing. That's why it's the sovereignty of God. You can't plan literally everything, because God just surprises you. And I've been so amazed on how, as leaders of the church, you've just been willing to hear from God as He's been guiding you guys. So I think it's been great. And not many people were expecting that you would plant Redeemer at Easter, but you were so flexible to be guided by God. So for me, I just want to say, many people are learning from what you guys are doing there. And the church has been very resilient, as far as I can tell, in the midst of all that's been happening. And I think many churches will learn lessons. One thing I can say to the church, to Redeemer, is this. When things like this happen, for me, I try to find a narrative in the Bible that I can relate everything to, or I live in a particular story of the Bible that I think, okay, this makes sense for me to help me interpret what's happening now. In the same way as someone like Rodney, who's prophetic, would look for a way to kind of interpret the time of what's going on. So for me, I've been living in kind of the Exodus and the wilderness, and crossing the Red Sea and coming to the wilderness and inheriting the land. I've been living with that narrative, and praying for you. The big thing that came to my mind was the moment where the people of God were in Horeb or Sinai, And remember, Moses had been to Sinai before, and he probably said to everyone, you gotta go to Sinai. There's a bush there that's burning. God is there. The presence of God is there. And they went there, and they actually encountered the presence of God. It was like, you see, this is what I've been telling you. And it was a great moment. But then when you read like Deuteronomy 1, Numbers 10, he says, you've been on this mountain for too long. This is where the presence of God, these things are happening here. It's time for you to break camp and advance. Come on, we are okay here. We're good here. We're comfortable here. Don't spoil it. It ain't broken. Why are you spoiling it now? But God has spoken, and they had to move on and go forward. And I just want to commend you for hearing God. But equally, I just want to say to you, as you do that, as you advance, even when it feels like this is it, this is the place to camp, which you have advanced. I just want to say, looking at that narrative and that story, soon after that, you hear Miriam beginning to oppose Moses, and you hear the 10 against the 12. It is about time to cross over, and the 12 spies go into the land, and they come back, and the 2 against the 10. The 2 are seeing the cup half full, and the 10 are seeing the cup always half empty. And sometimes that can be the case when you're advancing and you are about to experience something big. And I just want to say, for you as a church right now, the key to everything is your camaraderie. Your standing together and working together to cross over is the key to everything. Never neglect. Isn't it odd that we are talking about camaraderie around a time when, we all in isolation and we all separated, we all living our own lives here or there? I just want to say, I think you get tested in that. And I would say, let your camaraderie be your biggest weapon around this time as you cross over. Because if you don't, you'll have the 2 who are seeing the cup half full and the 10 who are seeing the cup half empty. And that or the Miriam in the camp. And God, I believe for Redeemer, God is calling you into a spirit of camaraderie now and saying, we are advancing together. We are a force that is going to do this in God. And I do believe that this will be something that you're going to remember in the future. You're not just going to remember planting Redeemer, but you're going to remember how together you've been able to stand, even when it felt like it was it doesn't look like the most sensible thing to do. Because remember, when the 10 spies came back, just the way they were explaining everything, it didn't feel like a sensible thing to do, to cross over. Because these guys are giants, they're big, they're great, they're all this. But hey, you have God and you have this camaraderie. You can do this together. And I just want to encourage you as a church to cherish that camaraderie. But what it means also, it means this. It means in the camp, there might be those who are vulnerable. There might be those who are weak. There might be those who are like, Moses, do you think I can make it down the mountain? At the moment, when we went up, I was still strong, but now coming down, I feel a little bit weak. And it's just for those who are still quite young to say, okay, I'm going to carry some of what you have, and I'm going to carry your load. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to hear you. I'm going to stand with you. I'm going to come alongside you. That's what camaraderie looks like. It doesn't just look like let's all have one voice. It means we bear we carry one another's burdens. We understand one another. We say, we are in this together. I'm just going to spend time with you and just hear from you. And we're going to march together. And vulnerable would mean all kinds of people. They're sick and those who are struggling, those who are fearful. But faith was the key to them crossing over, because their mission was paused for a long time after that because of the lack of faith. And I just want to say, encourage Redeemer, let your faith and your unity and the presence of God carry you into this new reality now. In the midst of what's going on right now, you can do it. And I'm full of faith this can happen. And we can establish a church in the center of Worthing that is reaching people from all walks of life in Worthing, that is drawing people and taking this opportunity now when people are looking for hope, they're looking for answers. We literally put the stake in the ground in the heart of our place, and we saying we know the answer is Jesus Christ. Sorry, I'm about to preach, but let me just stop there.
I'm loving it.
Amen.
I'm about to respond. If you did a call right now, I'd touch the screen and do something.
No handkerchiefs, but yeah. So that's what I want to encourage you with, to just really fight for the spirit of camaraderie. Even when you pray together as a church, just make that a stone of remembrance. Yeah,
Brilliant.
to use a metaphor.
Thank you so much. That's really encouraging.
So much.
Really appreciate those words. Thank you.
Yeah, and we really appreciate you and everything that you're doing, and we're standing with you. We're praying for you. And yeah, we're really looking forward to hearing what all that God's doing at this time when all this stuff, starts to loosen up a little. We'd love to hear from you about what God's done during this season in the churches when that starts to become a little more clear as well. So thanks so much for giving us your evening and staying up so late for us.
Yeah, bedtime for you.
So hi Jubilee and bye, and thank you so much for your gift to us. Really appreciate it.
You can give a little bit of that back now in our swear jar for using the wrong church name there, Fusi. So it's only 3,500 now. It's £500 every time, buddy. Every time.
Let him redeem himself in this. Come on.
All right, there's grace. There's more grace. Grace upon grace
redemption.
for you, my friend.
God bless you, Redeemer. God bless you guys, Alex and Rod. I really appreciate this moment, and thank you for having me on there.
Yeah.
Take care.
Great to see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Isn't it great though hearing from Fusi? He's such a great guy. I feel so inspired when I listen to him, and so encouraged, and a sense of optimism and movement. So forward, that was great. Yeah,
it makes me so pleased, to think that so many church, movements or denominations or what have you, I get the impression from friends can often feel quite organizational. So you have your kind of regional guy that I don't know if you've got a problem, you call him, but it's just so nice to actually count the people that we're looking to for oversight and input as friends, as family.
Absolutely.
And Fusi's going to have a really key role for us in the coming months, years. I think particularly at this moment, whilst we're still a kind of fledgling baby church, still finding our feet. And a few weeks ago now, we talked to you a bit about the leadership team. So that's going well. We've got a long way to go. It's a big group. But actually, so I'm leading the church and that team with the help of Joel and Rodney as well. But we're really going to look to Fusi, particularly at this time, I think. Is that right, Rod, for some input and shaping?
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's certainly a friend of mine. He's one of my best friends, actually. So,
that's nice.
That is nice.
There we go. That's nice.
There we go.
So
what's coming up? What's coming up this week?
So we've got the Pioneer reading plan continuing. So day 2 of this week tomorrow. So we're in Acts 9 now as of tomorrow. So that's going to be great. So please tune in with those videos, do the reading plan, talk with your groups. It's been great so far. Yeah,
absolutely. And then we've got on Wednesday, we've got all church worship together at 4:00. And so that's going to be great. And we did have a few problems with the sound, but I'm pretty confident Stuart would resolve that for this week. And it was still great to worship God anyway. So
if you need the code, they should be passed through your planting group. So if you've not got yours, hassle your planting group leader for it.
Yeah, they've got the code. Yeah,
great.
Yeah,
and so that's going to be a really great time. And then on Thursday we've got Digging Deeper, Leviticus part, goodness knows whatever, 6, I think. And I'm really looking forward to this week. Okay, chapter 10 of Leviticus, the most weird, ridiculous, wacky story in the Bible, maybe not the Bible, but certainly Leviticus. But we're going to talk about grief and leadership and parenting and drinking all in one episode. So tune in for that.
Brilliant. And then, of course, we're together on Sunday again for Church Online, 10:00, carrying on the Pioneer series. And we've got some new hosts, which is going to be great to see them. and actually somebody new leading worship as well, or certainly online leading new leading. So that's gonna be fantastic.
Yeah, so we're really looking forward to that, and I really enjoyed this Sunday. So nice engaging with it together as a family. Loved the Pioneers Part 4 that we tuned into, and it's just really good to engage with God together. So keep tuning in. Do church before church if you're doing that with your group.
Yeah, we're doing that. That's working really well in our group. So enjoying that.
So just before we finish, Rod, do you just want to tell us what we've got specially lined up for the Leadership Lean-In next week?
Specially lined up for Leadership Lean-In. Okay.
Yeah,
so
another special.
we do have another special. And so we're part of Regions Beyond, which you've just experienced, because Fusi is operating as an apostle to us and to many churches in Regions Beyond. But Regions Beyond is made up of a number of different apostolic spheres. So there are a number of other Fusis, if you like, obviously unique people, not Fusi, cloned. So around the world, different characters carrying different churches, different loads. But the whole movement is fathered by a guy called Steve Oliver. And we've been partnering with Steve for many years. And so we have Steve Oliver for our Leadership Lean-In next week. Isn't that amazing?
So, although we should say a little caveat that he's not just going to be with us. So he's recording a message for the churches around the world in Regions Beyond.
Yeah. And
so we're going to tune into him, listen to that. We've decided to do it in this platform. So please do prioritize that. And we're just going to hear what the father of our family of churches has got to say to us. So it's going to be good.
Absolutely. So there's a lot coming up then.
Lots coming up.
Absolutely. It's been lovely sharing this evening with you. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've enjoyed Fusi and all that he's brought to us. And we'll see you, I guess, during the week and on Sunday particularly.
Yeah. Wonderful. Have a great week.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
See you soon.